The Lone Wolf Who Felt Left Out, what the title says. To briefly describe the setting, this happened in a Discord campaign that took place in a dystopian future that a mix of sci-fi and fantasy. So there were demons, energy weapons, cyborgs, magitech, etc. Kind of a science versus magic thing. The members: Gerald, the magic user of the group; Eric, the brawler of the group; Nick, the swordsman of the group; me, the berserker of the group; Xavier, the walking weapon arsenal of the group; Percy, the trickster of the group; Ken, the speedster of the group and the subject of this post. At first, the campaign consisted of everyone except Ken. We worked toward making our base sustainable in the long term, made alliances with NPCs, took on enemies, became vigilantes, etc. A while later, Ken joined the campaign because he thought it looked interesting, and almost right off the bat, we started having problems. I'll say this now. Post frequency was the smallest problem of the lot, mainly because we're all in different time zones. But even then, Ken would barely post. Sometimes he would have to skip his turn. Sometimes he would go days without saying anything despite having enough free time to be active in other channels. The second problem was that his character would barely engage with the other characters, whether it was the rest of us or NPCs. No matter what our characters are doing, Ken's character is away from the others doing his own thing. Gerald and Nick are out on patrol. Ken is playing games on his phone. Eric and I are handling a criminal group. Ken is shopping for his own things. Xavier and Percy are each taking on a powerful enemy in separate locations, and they both need help. Ken is busy listening to K-pop. I mentioned earlier that the campaign takes place in a dystopian future. To further elaborate, the plot setting is that our characters suddenly find themselves in said future. Ken's character was freaking out, and when everyone else's characters tried to comfort him by talking about how they were able to get money and survive, and that he doesn't have to worry, Ken's character was openly dismissive of everyone, and was only concerned about how he would be able to get money for his own entertainment, and was explicitly clear that he had no interest in getting a job or contributing to the group's resources for survival. And then Ken decided that in addition to being an openly dismissive lone wolf, he wanted to be a leaky faucet. He went to a major news station to offer information about us in exchange for a job, which made the DM do some rolls to see what would happen. Thankfully, the head reporter rejected Ken, because they already dealt with a lot of people using the "I'm really close with the new vigilantes" lie to try to get a job. And to top it all off, in the discussion channel, Ken would almost only talk about the video games he was playing. The total amount of times he actually said something relevant to the campaign: 2 times. Well, I don't even know if the first case should count, since it was just that he wanted to name his character's high-frequency blade after streamer. The second time Ken contributed to discussions was when he said that he wanted his character to be like the dude from Jujutsu Kaisen with the hallucination thing. His character proceeded to reach max relationship level with said hallucinatory person in less than 100th of a second, while essentially calling everyone else's characters jealous haters, because they couldn't see said hallucination. And remember how I mentioned that the setting of the campaign is that our characters suddenly find themselves in a dystopian future? Ken's character decided that our characters were actually evil people who knew how to return, and were trying to keep him trapped in the future. So Ken decides to have the hallucination tell his character that the only way to get back to the present is to get a head start on the sequel TM, if you know what I mean. And yes, Ken's character tries to go through with it. I'll say this now. Yes, we tried talking this out with Ken. We asked him where he was going with this whole thing, and why he was doing it. Unfortunately, Ken wouldn't answer. It took several days before he finally responded and said that he felt like his character wasn't part of the group. We literally had multiple events trying to get him to be part of the group, and that he didn't feel engaged with the campaign. Well, maybe that wouldn't have happened if he didn't play a lone wolf who actively ignored and shrugged off other people while looking down on them. We explained to him that if he wanted to leave the campaign, he didn't need to force some event to kill off his character, and that he just had to say that he wanted to leave. Ken promptly responded with a "screw this, I'm out" message and left the server.